There's a voice inside you, quiet but certain, not weak, just waiting. Waiting for you to finally listen. It doesn't shout. It doesn't beg. It simply says you were made for more. More than just surviving, more than living up to people's expectations, more than playing small just to make others comfortable. But before you can prove anything to the world, you have to prove it to yourself. That's the part most people miss. They chase approval. They chase claps. They want the lights, the camera, the recognition. But the truth is, greatness is not born in the spotlight. It's born in silence. It's born when no one's watching and you decide to show up anyway. It's born when you fight the voice that tells you to give up, sit down, slow down, and you respond, not today. Every morning you have a choice. Take the easy path or the right one. The comfortable road will never lead you to your purpose. Comfort might feel good today, but it steals from your tomorrow. The real enemy isn't out there, it's in the mirror. That's the person you have to beat, not once, but every single day. We all talk about dreams. Everybody wants to be something, but the question is, are you doing something? It's easy to say, I want to be great. It's harder to wake up at 5 a.m. and grind while everyone's asleep. It's hard to say no to distractions. It's hard to be consistent when no one is cheering for you. But that's what separates the real ones from the rest. Discipline, faith, grit, not motivation, because motivation is like the wind. It comes and goes. You need something deeper than that. You need fire in your belly. You need a reason that burns through every excuse. And that reason, it has to come from within. People want miracles, but miracles don't come without movement. Faith without effort is just a wish. You want God to open doors, start knocking, start building, start believing. Stop waiting for someone to hand you your moment. Create it. Earn it when you're working in silence. When nobody is clapping and no one's validating you, that's the test. Can you keep going when it's just you, your goals, and your God? Can you keep showing up when the results aren't visible, but the promise still feels real? That's how legends are made. You don't need to convince the crowd. You don't need to argue with the haters. You don't need a round of applause to feel worthy. You just need to look yourself in the mirror at the end of the day and say, I gave it everything. That's enough. That's victory. So from this day forward, stop waiting, stop doubting, stop asking for permission, stand up, get up, and prove it. Prove it to the only person that matters. Prove it to the one who wakes up with you, who fights your battles with you, who dreams with you. Prove it to yourself. You are your own competition is a powerful truth, often forgotten in a world obsessed with comparison. From childhood, we are taught to compete grades, sports, looks, popularity. We grow up watching others, measuring ourselves by their achievements and constantly asking, am I good enough compared to them? But the truth is none of that noise matters, because the only person you were ever meant to compete with is you. Think about it. Every person you meet is living a life you don't fully understand, their background, their pain, their blessings, their battles. You don't see the full picture. You only see the filtered version, the polished image, the success without the struggle, and yet we compare ourselves to that illusion. We feel behind, we feel less, we feel defeated before we've even stepped onto the track. But here's the catch. Your lane is not their lane. Your race is not their race, and your clock is not set to their time. Oh, the real competition lies within you. It's not about who's richer, faster, more successful, or more admired. It's about one simple thing. Are you better than the person you were yesterday? That's it. That's the battle you should be fighting. Because if you spend all your energy chasing someone else's life, you'll forget to live your own. You'll burn out trying to meet standards that were never meant for you. You'll lose sight of your path trying to walk theirs. Look at your own progress. Look at how far you've come, not how far someone else is. Maybe you're not where you want to be yet. Maybe your goals still feel miles away. But are you doing better than you did last week? Are you thinking more clearly than you did last year? Are you healing, growing, learning, pushing yourself even just a little every day? If the answer is yes, you're already winning. It doesn't matter if it's slow. It only matters that it's forward. When you make yourself your biggest competition, you start holding yourself accountable in a new way. You start asking tougher questions. Did I give my best today? Did I waste time? Did I show up for myself? Did I let fear win, or did I fight through it? That self-awareness is where real growth begins. Because when you shift your focus inward, you stop making excuses. You stop pointing fingers. You stop saying, I'm not where I want to be because of them. No, you start saying, I'll get there because of me. The journey to becoming your best self isn't loud, it's quiet, it's lonely sometimes. No spotlight, no crowd, no applause. Just you waking up early. You grinding when no one's watching. You choosing discipline over comfort. You praying even when you don't see the blessing yet. You trusting that the process will shape you into the person you meant to become. That's the real work. That's the unseen battle. And the enemy? It's your old self. The version of you that gave up, that settled, that made excuses, that stayed quiet when you should have spoken up, that feared failure more than it loved purpose. Every day is another chance to beat that version, not with anger, not with hate, but with growth, with discipline, with grace. You rise by staying consistent. You rise by holding yourself to a higher standard, not because someone's watching, but because you know you were created for more. When you're your own competition, you don't need to tear others down. You're not threatened by their wins. You can celebrate them and still chase your own greatness because you're focused, you're locked in. You're not trying to outshine anyone. You're trying to outgrow who you used to be. That's where true confidence comes from. Not fake bravado, not ego, but that quiet fire in your chest that says, I know who I am. I know what I'm building. I don't need to prove it to anyone but me. And when you operate from that place, nothing can shake you. Not rejection, not delay, not even failure. Because you know that every fall is just another step in your rise. And you keep going. You keep showing up. You keep evolving, one decision at a time. Proving it to yourself begins with silence, not noise. Most people think success is about the applause, the followers, the big announcements, the highlight reels. But the truth is, greatness isn't built in public. It's built when the room is empty, when no one is watching, when the cameras are off and the lights are dim. That's when it matters most, because in those quiet moments, you find out who you really are. Not the version of you that smiles for the world, but the one who fights through the doubt. The one who keeps going even when the world gives you no reason to. That's where your foundation is built. When no one's clapping, can you still move forward? When there's no encouragement, when you're exhausted, when the results are invisible, can you still trust your effort? That's the test. Anybody can grind when they're being praised. Anybody can show up when there's a reward waiting. But real strength is showing up when there's nothing but your own voice telling you to keep going. The silence becomes your proving ground. And if you can survive that, you can survive anything. In the shadows, there's no pressure to perform. It's just you and your purpose, you and your faith, you and the mirror. It's in those moments where discipline is forged. Not just in what you do, but in who you're becoming. You start to understand that success isn't something that happens overnight. It's something you build in the dark, brick by brick. Every small action counts. Every time you choose purpose over pleasure, growth over comfort, sacrifice over shortcuts, that's a win. And most of those wins will never be seen. That's okay, because they're not for the world. They're for you. You don't have to post everything. You don't have to prove to others that you're working. Let your results speak one day. Until then, let your silence be your strength. Because in silence, you start to hear what really matters. You begin to separate what's real from what's fake. You stop chasing validation and start chasing mastery. You stop asking, what will people think? And start asking, what do I believe? You stop trying to please the crowd and start listening to your calling, and that switch changes everything. The pressure to be seen is real. We live in a world where everything is shared, broadcasted, measured by likes and views and applause, but chasing visibility too soon can destroy what hasn't been built strong enough yet. A tree takes years to grow underground before it ever shows its first leaf. Your journey is no different. If you want it to last, you have to build it right. And that means doing the work when no one is looking. It means being faithful in the small things. It means understanding that hidden seasons are not wasted. They're preparing you for what's ahead. Sometimes the silence will feel like rejection, like the world forgot you, like your effort doesn't matter. But silence isn't rejection. It's redirection. It's refinement. It's where character is formed and vision is sharpened. The silence is sacred because in the silence, you learn to rely on something greater than people's opinions. You begin to walk by faith and not by sight. You start building something deeper than hype. You start building legacy. The people you admire most didn't just appear successful. They spent years, sometimes decades, working in silence, losing, learning, adjusting, improving. They were doubted, overlooked, laughed at, but they didn't stop because they weren't working for approval, they were working for purpose. And that's the difference. Purpose keeps going when applause disappears. Purpose keeps you grounded when success arrives. If you build in silence, you won't be shaken by the noise that comes later because you'll already know who you are and no one can take that away from you. When no one's watching, your habits are real, your discipline is pure, your reasons are honest. There's no audience to perform for, just the future version of you, waiting to see what you'll do today. Will you show up for them? Will you keep pushing for them? Will you do the work now so they can walk in the harvest later? That's the question, and the answer comes not in words but in action. The daily grind, the unseen moments, the quiet wins. They matter, they count. They are the foundation of every breakthrough you'll ever have. Proving it to yourself isn't about shouting your goals from rooftops or convincing others to believe in your vision. It's about discipline. Not motivation, not inspiration, not fleeting energy that comes and goes. It's about consistency, structure, and commitment. Motivation feels good, it's exciting, it's loud, but it's temporary. Discipline is quiet. It's what keeps you going after the spark dies out. It's what gets you out of bed when everything in you wants to stay down. It's what separates the dreamers from the doers. Because everyone has dreams, but only the disciplined make them real. Discipline is uncomfortable. It asks for sacrifice. It demands structure in a world that promotes chaos. It tells you to keep moving when your body is tired, when your mind is filled with doubt, when your heart is broken. Discipline doesn't negotiate. It doesn't wait for perfect conditions. It shows up in the rain, in the cold, in the silence. It doesn't care how you feel. It cares about what you've committed to. And the people who make it in this world, the ones who rise from nothing and build something powerful, they all have one thing in common. They made a decision to keep going regardless of how they felt. When you rely on motivation, you only work when you feel like it, when it's exciting, when the vision is clear. But when you rely on discipline, you work even when you don't feel anything. You work when the vision is blurry. You push when there's no guarantee of success. You show up because you said you would, and your word means something. That's what builds confidence. Not hype, not external validation, but the quiet, unshakable truth that you can trust yourself to do what you said you'd do. Discipline teaches you patience. You stop chasing shortcuts. You stop looking for overnight success. You stop measuring your growth by how fast someone else is moving, because you realize this is a lifetime journey, not a sprint. You understand that mastery takes time, and success built slowly is stronger than success built fast. Every rep, every repetition, every early morning, every late night, it's all stacking. It's building something invisible that eventually becomes undeniable, and when that moment comes, when your work finally meets the reward, you'll know it wasn't luck, it was discipline. The world loves talent. Talent is flashy, but discipline, that's where the real power lies. Because talent without discipline is wasted. Potential without discipline is wasted. Dreams without discipline are just fantasies. You don't rise because you're talented. You rise because you outworked the old you. You showed up when most quit. You kept going through failure, through fatigue, through fear. That's what makes you dangerous. Not the skill, but the consistency. Not the passion, but the persistence. Discipline will also teach you self-respect. When you live by discipline, you stop betraying yourself. You stop making promises you don't keep. You stop saying tomorrow when you know it should be today. You stop compromising your standards just to feel better for a moment. Discipline holds you accountable to your future. It reminds you of your vision when distractions call. It protects you from the trap of comfort, because comfort might feel good now, but it won't get you where you want to be. This is why proving it to yourself matters, because when you build discipline, you stop needing people to push you. You become your own coach, your own motivator, your own reminder that you're capable. And that's where true freedom lives. When you no longer wait to be rescued, when you no longer depend on outside validation, when you own your schedule, your time, your energy, you become unstoppable. Discipline makes you sharp. It makes you dangerous. It gives you a sense of power that no one can give you and no one can take from you. And the truth is, discipline won't always feel rewarding. Sometimes it'll feel like a burden. Sometimes it'll feel like no one notices. But that's the beauty of it. Because while others seek applause, you're building armor. While others chase comfort, you're building resilience. While others wait for the right mood, you're building momentum. And one day that discipline you practiced in silence will introduce you to a version of yourself you didn't know existed. Stronger, sharper, focused, unshakable. That's the goal. That's what you're chasing. Not a moment, not a feeling, but a mindset, a lifestyle, a legacy. One rep at a time, one day at a time, one promise kept at a time. When you truly start proving it to yourself, something shifts deep within you. You begin to realize that you are your biggest competition, not the people around you, not your friends or rivals or strangers on the internet. The real fight is always with the person in the mirror. That's the person who knows your fears, your doubts, your weaknesses, your excuses. That's the version of you that resists change, that settles for comfort, that chooses the easy road when no one's watching. And if you want to grow, if you want to evolve, if you want to become the person you were meant to be, then you have to beat that version of yourself every single day. You can lie to others, but you can't lie to yourself. Deep down, you know when you're falling short. You know when you're avoiding the work. You know when you're hiding behind distractions or blaming others or telling yourself that maybe tomorrow is a better day to start. But growth doesn't happen tomorrow. Growth happens now, in this moment. In the decision to stop letting your lower self run the show. The voice in your head that says you're tired, that it's too hard, that it won't matter anyway. That's your competition. And if you don't silence it, it will control your life. Competing with yourself means every day you wake up and ask, how can I be just a little bit better than I was yesterday? That's the race. It's not about being the best in the world. It's about being better than who you were the day before. Maybe it's showing more discipline. Maybe it's pushing one more rep. Maybe it's keeping a promise you normally would have broken. And the beautiful part is, you don't need anyone's permission to start. You don't need applause or a big stage. All you need is honesty and the courage to admit that you've got work to do. When you make yourself your main competition, everything changes. You stop comparing your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. You stop getting discouraged by what others have and you start focusing on what you're building. You realize that the only person holding you back is the one inside your own skin. And that's a powerful realization, because if it's your habits, your mindset, your effort, then it means you have the power to change it. You are not stuck. You are not broken. You just need to make a choice. Evolve or stay the same. The game of life isn't about perfection. It's about progress. Small, steady, consistent steps forward. And each day you either feed your future or feed your fear. You either take action or make excuses. And those little choices, they stack, they become patterns, they form identity. One day you look up and you either see someone you're proud of or someone you know settled. That's why this battle with yourself is so important, because no one else can fight it for you. You can have coaches, mentors, encouragement, but the work, the discipline, the sacrifices, that's on you. Some days your old self will win. You'll slip. You'll make the easy choice. But that doesn't mean you failed. It just means you got to come back stronger. You've got to remember why you started. You got to remember that the goal is progress, not perfection. And the only way to keep moving forward is to stay honest. Honest about your effort, honest about your mindset, honest about the gap between where you are and where you want to be. Because if you're not willing to face yourself, you'll keep running in circles, chasing distractions, blaming circumstances. The best version of you is out there waiting, but it's not going to arrive with comfort. It's going to come from resistance, from challenge, from pressure, from saying no to the easy path and yes to the hard one, from doing the work when you'd rather quit, from from staying focused when everything around you is trying to break your concentration. The version of you that's disciplined, focused, confident, that version is built through repetition, not revelation, through effort, not emotion, through action, not just intention. So when you wake up tomorrow, don't worry about who's ahead or who's watching. Don't compare your journey to someone else's. Just look in the mirror and ask yourself one question. Are you willing to outwork the old you today? Are you willing to shut down the excuses and turn up the focus? Are you willing to get uncomfortable for the sake of your future? Because if you can do that day in and day out, then you won't need to prove anything to anyone else. The results will speak, the transformation will show, and the old version of you will have no choice but to step aside and make room for the one you were always meant to become. There is something deeply powerful that happens when you keep the promises you make to yourself. It's not about showing off. It's not about proving something to others. It's about building a kind of internal respect, a sacred bond with your own soul. When you say you're going to do something and you actually follow through, it begins to create trust within you. That trust becomes the foundation of self-confidence. It's the feeling that you can count on yourself, even when no one else is watching, even when the results aren't immediate, even when life gets hard and everything inside you says quit. Keeping your promises to yourself is one of the most spiritual, grounding, and empowering things you can do in this world, because it's a reflection of integrity, and without integrity, nothing stands. Think about how often people make silent promises to themselves. I'll wake up early. I'll start tomorrow. I'll stick to this plan. I'll focus more. And then think about how often those promises are broken. Every time that happens, your subconscious hears it. It keeps track, and eventually you start to believe your own words don't mean much. You begin to doubt yourself, not because you're incapable, but because you've trained your mind to expect that you won't follow through. That self-doubt becomes a habit. It eats away at your confidence, and without even realizing it, you become someone who talks more about goals than actually moves toward them. But the opposite is also true. When you start honoring those small daily commitments, something starts to change. You say, I'm going to read for 30 minutes today, and you actually do it. You say, I'm going to hit the gym, and you show up. You say, I won't touch my phone for the first hour of my morning, and you follow through. Little by little, your mind starts to notice. It says, hey, maybe we are serious about this. That's where true belief begins, not from hype or hype men, but from discipline in private. Quiet wins, quiet work, quiet consistency. And this is important because when life hits you hard, and it will, you'll need to rely on something deeper than motivation. You'll need to rely on who you've become. If you've built a habit of keeping your own word, then in the toughest seasons, when everything feels like it's falling apart, you'll still have that anchor. You'll still have that core strength that says, I know how to show up. It's not arrogance, it's not ego, it's earned self-respect. You've proven to yourself that no matter what, you won't fold. And that makes you dangerous in the best way possible. People often chase confidence through achievements. They think if they can just get the car, the job, the body, the relationship, then they'll feel worthy. But real confidence doesn't come from what you have, it comes from what you consistently do. And what you do is shaped by what you say to yourself. That internal dialogue, that invisible script is always running. And the more you break promises to yourself, the more that script becomes negative. But when you honor your commitments, you rewrite that story. It starts saying, I'm disciplined, I'm focused, I'm trustworthy, I finish what I start. And that inner belief is bulletproof. Keeping your promises is also a form of self-love. Not the surface level kind, not the treat yourself kind, but the kind of love that holds you accountable. The kind that says you deserve to live up to your potential. The kind that sets boundaries with comfort and says no to temporary pleasure because you're building something greater. That kind of love isn't always easy, but it's all because when you keep your word, you start to see yourself differently. You walk taller, you stop needing validation, you stop waiting for perfect timing, you become a force of nature, rooted in discipline, fueled by purpose. And here's the thing, nobody else can do this part for you. People can support you, cheer you on, even mentor you, but they can't keep your promises for you. That work is personal, that battle is yours, and it doesn't matter how many times you've fallen short in the past. What matters is what you decide to do next. Will you keep running from the person you know you could be, or will you face that version of yourself and say, let's go? Because the moment you do, the moment you stop breaking your own heart with broken promises, the moment you take your own words seriously, that's the moment your life begins to change from the inside out. In conclusion, proving it to yourself is a journey, a personal commitment to becoming the best version of who you can be. It's about showing up for yourself every day, honoring your word and staying true to the promises you make. It's not about perfection, but progress. Every step you take toward being better than you were yesterday builds the foundation for a future that you can be proud of. The competition isn't with anyone else, it's with the person staring back at you in the mirror. And once you start winning that battle, you realize that you are capable of achieving anything you set your mind to. Thank you for being a part of this journey, for taking the time to reflect, and for committing to making yourself a priority. The road ahead may be tough, but remember that the most important battles are the ones we fight within. Keep pushing, keep believing, and most importantly, keep proving it to yourself. Thank you.